For those of you that like dumplings, we have the perfect soup that's going to satisfy your entire family. Stay tuned. Hi, I'm Rhonda Fitterer.
And I'm Laverne Dede.
And we got a couple recipes. I know that you've made this soup recipe. You found it, and I thought it was really good.
It is.
So we're going to share it with everyone, all of our viewers. And this is a chicken dumpling soup. And it really was good. So get your piece of paper and pen and write down the ingredients so you can cook along with us. Pause your DVR and come on right on back. What you're going to need is chicken stock. You're going to need celery. 3 stalks of diced celery. You're going to need 2 to 3 cups of chicken and carrots. And for the dumplings, this is a little bit different recipe than what you've normally done for dumplings, but they were very good. You need self-rising flour, salt, and this is a different recipe. It had the butter in grams, but we did the math and you only need 3 tablespoons of butter. And you need 3/4 cups of milk. So that's going to be a pretty easy, and I'll have to say, write this one down because this one's a delicious soup.
It's very good.
And then Linda Weiler here of Dickinson submitted a spice cake for us, and this is going to be awesome because Linda's a great cook. It's spicy applesauce cake. Say that 3 times fast. You're going to need 2 cups of flour, a 1/2 cup of sugar.
1.5.
Thank you. 1.5. 1 tablespoon of baking cocoa, 1.5 teaspoons of baking soda, and then a teaspoon of each of these ingredients. You're going to need a teaspoon of cinnamon, nutmeg, allspice, cloves, salt, and then you need a 1/2 cup of olive oil, 2 cups of chunky applesauce, which you're going to have to tell me the difference, 2 eggs, a cup of milk, cup of chocolate chips, and I believe this part might be optional, but not in this family. It's a cup of raisins. So for all those raisin lovers, you're going to love it. I'll just pick it out like normal.
Okay.
But I'm sure it's great, Linda. So I'll give you the recipe so we can get started.
All right. Well, what I did, we're going to start over here. I've got 10 cups of chicken stock going.
Okay.
What I did, I cooked a couple of chicken breasts, and then I did save that water.
Okay.
You know, you're cooking your meat, you know, save that protein and stuff in your liquid. Then I made like 10 cups of water. Then you took some chicken stock and chicken base and made my chicken stock. So
Okay.
and that, because just with the cooking the chicken breasts alone, that's not enough flavor for you know, your soup. So
Okay.
you just with the 10 cups of water, I used about 3 tablespoons of granulated chicken base and stuff.
Okay. So if you didn't take the time to do that, you could just go buy like Swanson's broth, and you wouldn't need to add anything different there, would you?
Correct. You do, but this is a lot cheaper.
It's cheaper. It just depends on if you have cheaper or if you need to save time.
Okay, that doesn't take too much time. But anyway, I've already got that heated up. And my chicken breast, what I did, I took it and I shredded it rather than cube it. You can cube it, but I shredded it, and it really is kind of nice, you know, just having it shredded versus, you know, just cut up. Your dad really liked it that way. So.
Okay.
So I guess if he likes it that way, that's the way we make it, right?
Right.
Okay. So have that in there. And then it says 3 stalks of celery cut up and 3 carrots.
Okay.
So we're going to add that in here. And have that. And then that's going to just start cooking here. And what we're going to do next is we're going to quick mix up our applesauce cake. And
Okay.
get that in the oven, so that will be baking. So I just have that on medium heat there.
Okay.
So we'll come over here, and we'll put our wet liquids into the mixer first. I'm going to add 2 eggs. We're going to just slightly beat those. And there. Okay.
I shouldn't give you so much grief about putting in raisins because that's my preference. I'm sure that most people do like raisins.
Well, that's fine. Yep.
But I have to speak for those non-raisin lovers.
Well, like you said, you have learned to pick it out and stuff. So let's just beat those eggs a little bit. And our next ingredient is a 1/2 cup olive oil,
Okay.
and then 1 cup of milk. Those are our wet ingredients besides the applesauce.
Isn't it a little bit different for olive oil, like in a cake? I mean, because that generally has a distinct taste to it.
You know, in this cake, you don't even know it. I mean,
Okay.
it just is, and olive oil is better for you to begin with, but you have all these spices in there. It's just, it's great.
Okay, you're not
So-
going to notice the difference if
No,
you use a
not at all.
vegetable. Okay.
Not at all. So we had that. So we're going to go ahead and put that 1/2 cup of olive oil in here. And then a cup of milk.
Okay.
And we're going to do 2 cups of applesauce. And now this year I've heard so many people talk about how many apples that they have gotten from their trees. It was abundant year for apples, and a lot of people making their own applesauce.
Okay.
So this is a good time to use some of that. And you know, the only difference between, you know, regular applesauce and chunky is you just don't cook it up as much, and you know,
Okay.
there's just
So
little
you probably
chunks
have some apple chunks in
you
there
have a
instead
little
of
bit
okay.
of apple chunks, yes. So I think, you know, if you were making your own applesauce, you could really just fine tune that to your liking.
Okay.
So we have that in there, and I'm going to just mix that up a little bit here.
Well, I guess I don't pay attention in the grocery store. Can you buy chunky applesauce?
Oh yes,
Okay.
definitely. Yep,
Okay.
you can. You have rare applesauce and some that say chunky. So,
I'll pay attention next time when I'm in that aisle.
all right. Okay, so we'll just blend that up, and it's a cake mix. I mean, a cake that you don't have to beat a long time. So we're going to add 1.5 cups of sugar
Okay.
and 2 cups of flour. And now this is where you got to remember all the ingredients. I was smart and I put my measuring spoons in here so I know what to remember to put in there. So
Well, there are quite a few spices in here.
there is. So it's 1 tablespoon of cocoa.
Okay.
We just about were wearing that. I'm going to put that over here a little bit. Okay, and 1.5 teaspoons of baking soda. Okay, got that in there. And all the rest of these here are going to be 1 teaspoon.
Okay.
We have, there's quite a few spices in there. And
There
when you
is.
say a spicy applesauce cake. So, a teaspoon of allspice, teaspoon of cloves. But that just gives it a wonderful flavor. And it just reminds you of fall, and you know, when you're doing your apples and everything. So,
Well, when I
that's-
smell cloves and I think of cloves, I think of pumpkin pie.
well, that's the time to start thinking of it too,
Yeah.
isn't it? Yes, absolutely. And I've always talked, you know, I buy my spices in bulk, and I guess I can give Allison's Food Pantry a plug.
Yes.
Because you buy that in bulk and a pound, and it is so much cheaper. So, and very good spices. Mm-hmm. So anybody that is thinking of,
Well, if you cook a lot or bake a lot,
Absolutely.
it makes sense to do.
and you know, one thing with the spices, you know, most of them are like a pound. You might think that's a lot, but I take, you know, fill my container, and the rest I'll put in another container. I use the plastic peanut butter jars, and I put the extra in there, and I put it in the freezer, and it'll stay fresh for forever. So we get that going here. Mix that, and I'll just scrape my bowl a little bit. And you just want to beat it till it's well blended, but not, you don't want to beat a cake a lot. You know, even your cake mixes, if you beat your cake too long, it actually crumbles more, you know, so it's one thing you don't want to do. Now I'm going to have you spray our 9 by 13 cake pan. Okay, so we're going to add our cup of chocolate chips. And I've really got to liking the little mini chocolate chips versus the bigger ones. They're just pretty neat to use. And all right, get that mixed in there. I don't know how this is going to work, but I'm going to pour a little corner in there without raisins.
I'm thinking you'll be fine.
You don't need that? Okay. All right, so we'll put our cup of raisins in there. And the oven is on at 350 for this. And you bake it 35 to 40 minutes. You just, you check like any cake, if it's done, you touch the top and make sure it springs back, or put your toothpick in there or whatever you use.
Okay.
Okay, now we can put that in the oven.
And our stock is boiling.
Yep. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and set that. In fact, I'm going to go 40 minutes because it is a pretty, there we got it, dense or pretty thick cake.
Okay.
More than what you have in a regular cake mix. So we'll just stir that. And now let's make our dumplings with this. And it's so easy. Our dumplings, we're going to, there's a big bowl here, and I have that 1.5 cups of self-rising flour.
Okay.
And a teaspoon of salt.
But that is the important ingredient. It has to be self-rising flour. You can't use regular.
Right, you want the self-rising flour in this. And there is a difference. I'm not quite sure if you use regular flour and add a little bit of baking powder. It's still, these dumplings were really soft. They were very good. So I've just used it with that. So we're going to do 3 tablespoons of butter.
Okay.
And I have the butter kind of cold. And then, the best thing is to do is just mix that up with your hands until you have the butter all, blend it in with the flour. Now,
Again, why are we using cold butter versus room temperature butter?
when you're mixing that with the flour, you want, if you had the butter melted or whatever, you'd get a kind of a clump all at once there. You used your cold butter and you're mixing that, and it crumbles more like, when you're, well, it just makes it more of a crumble flour.
Okay.
Not melted like, you'd have it liquefied.
Okay.
And we don't want that. And so it doesn't take too long. And then we're going to need, I believe, 3/4 cup of milk. And we have a measuring cup right here. So I'm going to have you pour in 3/4 cup of milk. And you certainly can use pastry.
I overshot it.
You overshot it a little bit. How much? Yeah, it looks pretty close. All right. See, and then your flour is still, looks like flour. Mm-hmm. Because like I said, if you melted your butter, it would be liquefied and it would, you'd have it more in a
You'd probably just have more clumps.
Right.
Or
And this is what you do when you're making a pie crust. You take your flour and your shortening and you get that all mixed up well before you put in your liquids. So now we're going to pour that in there.
Maybe just not pour it all in.
Okay, I'll just keep out just a little bit there.
That works.
Now, so I'm going to just take a fork and blend that in there.
Because like with a lot of other dumplings, I know that, you make a lot of dumplings and things with that. You have just regular flour and egg in there and a little bit of salt, right?
Right, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so like I said, this is just a little different one, and I found it on the internet, and I've made it, and we've really, really liked it. So, and it's quick.
And you did test the size because the recipe does say about golf ball size dumplings. And I mean, with normal dumplings that you make, if you would put that much in water, they would be huge.
Yeah, you'd think, my goodness, this is something, that's too big. And that's what I thought too of right away when I had that. It was, you can't make golf ball size dumplings. That's going to be huge. So I had made them definitely a lot smaller. And the first time, and what it did was, really, the dumplings cooked up. Because we're gonna put that in there, and we're gonna cover it and just put it on simmer for like 15 minutes. But this way you're gonna have you'll see dumplings, and it won't be all cooked up. So that's what it's all about. So I'm gonna get myself a spoon here, and we have this going here. This, the celery and carrots cooking a little bit. They're not completely soft, but like I said, we're going to be cooking this, put the lid on for 15 minutes.
Okay.
And that's plenty of time to have your celery and carrots, get soft. So I like to put my spoon in the hot water first, and then this way it comes off a lot quicker. So I'm just going to take big spoonfuls like this and just put it in, put your spoon in the water, and it just falls right out. One thing about making them golf ball size, you're not here forever getting making the dumplings. And you can actually see this dough, and it's a little different texture and stuff with the self-rising in there. You can actually see that already.
Well, and I don't know if the viewers can see inside the kettle. They're puffing up. They're puffing up very nice already.
They do. So like I said, it doesn't take too long to get those put in there.
And I suppose it just depends on if you don't want the dumplings this big. I mean, you certainly can do whatever size you want because you're going to cook them.
Yeah, they're going to cook down. But like I said, of course, I mean, it didn't say all cook up, but some of it did, and you didn't have as visible dumplings.
Yep.
As you're going to have with this. So easy as that. And what we're going to do is just put the lid on. And I'm going to turn it way down just to simmer.
Okay.
And we're going to go it for 15 minutes.
Okay.
And it does say do not lift the lid.
This is very important.
It is. So we're going to let it go for 15 minutes. I have my cake in there, and it still says 34 minutes. I'm going to reset the timer for 15 here, and then we know we just got another, 14 minutes? Or is that right? No. Use your math. You're my math person. Come on, I'm gonna put you on the spot. But anyway, all right.
20.
Yep.
23.
Yeah, that's correct. Okay, so that's on there, and so when that's done, we'll be back here, and our cake should be done
shortly after.
Yeah.
See,
And
this is perfect because on a normal meal, we would sit down and have the soup, and then the oven would be beeping that the cake is done, and then you have your dessert. And in the appropriate amount of time.
That's right. And with cake, or I made a cream cheese frosting.
Okay.
And that's what it says, to frost it with a cream cheese frosting. It's going to a little bit because, it's bubbling right away, but it's going to settle down.
Okay.
We're fine.
Okay.
Okay. So we'll be back with the viewers here in 15 minutes.
All right. Sounds great.
Okay, we have our soup here now, and we'll take off that lid. And, just look at those dumplings on that.
They're huge.
Well, at least you don't need too many to fill up then.
Well, no, I mean, but they're not. I mean, they look very light and fluffy.
They are.
So this is going to be a little bit different again from our normal dumpling recipe. So, Again, I know that this is a delicious soup, and I like soup any time of the year. It doesn't
It's
have to be
always
winter,
good.
but
Yeah.
I mean, it's nice that we're showing our viewers this at this time of year instead of
Yeah, that's right. So
In the
they're
middle of
going to
summer.
enjoy, and like I said, I had found that recipe on the internet, and it had like 6 stars on it, so it figured, well, if it's got 6 stars, it's going to be good.
It's got to be good.
So have been making it, and it is. So hopefully everybody else will like it as much as we do.
Absolutely, and then we just got a little bit of time before our cake is done,
And
and
then-
so we'll show our viewers what the cake looks like and
That's
how
right.
to get these recipes. So stay tuned.
Okay, the buzzer is going off for the cake, so let's check that out. And I'll have you open up the oven for me.
It is smelling pretty spicy.
Ooh. Oh. So look at that. Oh, then that's done. Nice to the touch there, so we can turn the oven off.
All right.
And we'll bring that over here. And I'll have you take out a butter knife.
Oh,
A little piece there. Okay. And what this too, we talked about putting a cream cheese frosting on it now. So, and what I did, in fact, I always, like I said, make myself a big recipe. You take a stick of butter, 8 ounces cream cheese, and about 3 cups of powdered sugar, and just really whip that. And the longer you whip it, you get this nice fluffy frosting like that. So, okay, what I'm going to do is, even though we just did take it out of the oven, I'm going to be able to cut a little piece there, and we can put a little bit of cream cheese frosting on there. And I'm looking for one of my
okay.
so we'll just cut there. And you see it makes a nice, amount of cake. It's not a shallow cake. It's
Right.
you're going to be able to feed a hungry family with that. Okay, so. Oh, look at those raisins.
Oh, they look so scrumptious, Mom.
But they are.
I think I'm the only one in the family that doesn't like them, but
But we could just put a little bit, a dab of cream cheese frosting on here, even though it's really warm, and it's just probably gonna just really melt there. But another thing, I think having something like this warm and putting Cool Whip on, or whipped cream.
Oh, absolutely.
Even rather than frosting, that would be, we like it that way a lot, so.
well, we'll just leave it at that. It's good. And I am sure that's going to taste very good with the raisins. And thank you, Linda Weiler, for submitting your recipe for us, as well as go out and get the recipe at Consolidated's website, www.ctctel.com, for the fluffy chicken dumpling soup. So you can't say that 3 times fast either. And this delicious cake recipe. Thank you so much for joining us. And as always, thank you to the Bush Shop for being our sponsor. Have a great evening.